There was a knock on the door. It was police. Okay, why do you have a kitchen knife under the bed? Because I'm yet to decide which one of you I'm going to kill. Why will nobody listen to what we are telling you? We're telling you this is a lie. This is a mistake. We are being tricked. I don't think we believe you. I don't think we believe what you are saying. Look at her. Look at her and tell me you believe what she is saying. You have 24 hours to make a decision. Welcome to Extraordinary Stories Podcast. Hey, how are you? Are you well? Are you good? I am. Thank you for getting in touch about the last story, the Peter Bergman story. So many crazy theories around what was going on with Peter Bergman. But yeah, great to hear your thoughts and your theories on it. I feel like I've told that story now. I've looked at it. I still don't really have an answer. Yeah, it's one of those ones. Alright, we'll just go straight to extra, which will be nice and quick, and then I'm going to get on with the story. Alright, first of all is a podcast recommendation from me. And lots of you will have heard it. It's called Cold. And it's the story of Susan Powell. Or the disappearance of Susan Powell. It's such an amazing series. I think there's 17 episodes in total, and it takes you from the very, very beginning right through to the end. And there's the disappearance of Susan Powell is a horrendous crime followed by an even more horrendous crime. It's just absolutely horrific what happens in this story. But what is brilliant about this podcast and what it does so well is it uses things like journals and recordings from the family members who were involved in all of this, and you really get to see the impact that a disappearance has on a family member. And it's just also one of the weirdest crimes ever. It's so strange. And what also runs through the whole entire thing, which I absolutely love, and I really connected with this, I just thought it was his bit of it so interesting, is one of the main sort of characters, if you like, in it is the detective who was following this case and has been following this case for over 20 years. And it's just, you can hear how broken he is by bits of it and the mistakes that were made and things that were done. Anyway, I'm not going to go on and on about it forever. But just seriously, I would listen to Cold because it is really, really good. Alright, I'm just also going to say thank you to everyone who sent Christmas cards and Christmas gifts to me and to Alfie, and everyone who shared in the Christmas love on social media and in the Facebook group. Okay, alright, so I'm going to get in nice and quick with this story because I reckon, this is my theory, I could be wrong. I reckon this story is going to become one of these that one of your big geezers of podcasting, like your Wonderies or your big podcast networks, they're going to end up doing this story over like a 20-part type thing because it's so bizarre, it's so strange, and it's so recent. It really is a proper extraordinary story. Are you ready? Okay. Let's go. Alright, so we all have wants and desires. And you should chase them. You should follow the things in your life that you want. And if what you want is to increase the size of your family, then brilliant. Great. Do it. Fucking do it. There's kids everywhere in the world who need homes. So, if that's the thing that you want to do it. Great. I applaud you. Let's look at Michael and Christine Barnett, who are from Indiana, USA. Indiana is always one of those places, whenever I read it, I don't know why, I always feel like it needs to be said in an American accent. Indiana. That was a terrible American accent, but I feel like it warrants that. Okay, so I won't do it again, we're in Indiana, and it's 2010. Now, Michael and Christine, they're a couple, and they've already got 3 sons. Quite young sons at this point. I think the youngest is 5, and I think the oldest is about 11. So, they've got 3 boys. It's a busy old life, but they want to just keep increasing their family. They're both in their early 40s. Christine works freelance, and Michael has a really good, well-paid job in engineering. So they've been together about 20 years, and they're really solid as a family. They're really this very tight family unit. Christine, I said there a minute ago, she works freelance. She does. Specifically what she does is she writes and talks about parenting. So she goes and she speaks at like conventions and like parents groups and all this sort of stuff. Like she's almost like a kind of expert in the field of parenting. So 2 of them, they love their family. It's all really good, and what they want is they want more. They're basically, think Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, that kind of style. They've got, what have they got, about 47 kids? Something like that between them. Oh no, actually, worse than that, Madonna. Has she not got about 236 kids? This kind of vibe, right? This is what they want. So for a while now, they've been wanting to adopt, and they'd gone through lots of the sort of major steps that it takes, all the sort of verification. They'd been through all of this. They'd been through that process, and now it was a waiting game. So their agency that they had gone through in Indiana had said to them, it's most likely the child you will end up adopting will come from Haiti. Because this was becoming a place where lots of kids in America were being adopted from Haiti. It sort of goes, I'm no adoption expert here, of course, but it does kind of go in trends. Like there are countries where kids end up, being adopted from, become, I don't want to say fashionable, that's not what I mean, but like there'll become a period in time where like loads of kids are coming from one part of the world, and then it'll change to somewhere else. So there was a time around about 2010 where Haiti was the place where a lot of adoptions were happening from. Now, what you might also remember is that in 2010 something absolutely devastating happened in Haiti, and that was the earthquake. And it was one of the worst earthquakes that has ever happened. It devastated thousands and thousands of families. It ravaged parts of Haiti in the most horrendous way, and as a result of that earthquake, the adoption processes were halted. The adoption processes in and out of that country, they just weren't happening as frequently. So, for Michael and Christine, they were still waiting. They didn't really know what was happening. They knew they were on this list. They knew they were waiting. And then, in 2010, the day would come when they would receive a phone call to say a match had been made and that they could now take their next steps into extending their family. Now, this phone call that they're going to receive, let us call it alarm bell number 1. So the phone call comes from an agency in Florida. And this is an agency that was affiliated with the main agency that they were going through. And the phone call says, look, we have a child, and this child is perfect for what you are looking for as a family. We have an 8-year-old Ukrainian girl, and she needs a family. And so the Barnetts say, okay, fine, right, that sounds really exciting. So what's the next step in the process? Like, do we have to go through a process where we come and we meet this 8-year-old and we get to know her and she gets to know us and we work out if it's actually going to work as a family? We need to know what the situation is here. And the agency said to them, no, it's all completely organised. This will be a perfect fit. And you have 24 hours to say yes or no. Now that's weird. That is very weird. Very, very, very weird. Yeah, what's that about? Why would they say, no, you're not going to come and do the sort of... I mean, for want of a better way to put it, it's a chemistry test. But no adoption. I'm not an expert, but no adoption happens where you get a phone call that's like, oh, we've actually found someone perfect for you. And 24 hours later, this child can be yours. No, we don't need to do anything in between. You just need to say yes or no. What they say is, well, all the previous checks have been done by other agencies, so you're verified, you're good to go. So basically, under the pressure of it, they say, yes, okay, we will take this 8-year-old Ukrainian girl and we're good to go. Just all sounds a little bit too easy. The Barnetts will later say they should really have paid more attention to the fact that the process was a little bit too simple. I mean, that process is literally the same as me going onto Amazon and being like, I want a new hat. And then 24 hours later, I'm wearing the new hat. Now, I don't really wear hats, so that's really quite a useless analogy. But you get the point. Get the point of what I'm trying to say. So, they said yes. The following day, they go to collect the 8-year-old girl and fill out all of the paperwork and get ready to start the next stage of their developing family. So some very, very important and probably the most important information about the girl they're going to adopt is this. Her name is Natalia. Natalia Grace. Nice name. Natalia, as I said, she was from the Ukraine, but she'd been in the USA for most of her life. So she'd been adopted into the USA as a baby, and she'd lived with other families as a foster child or a temporary adoption. Now this is key. This is absolutely key, and it's not clear if the Barnetts were ever told this on the phone, if they were ever given this information, and if they weren't, what a massive fucking oversight. But Natalia suffers from a rare, very, very rare form of dwarfism, which affects her spine, her hips, and her legs. So what it means is Natalia is very, very short. So if you look at her, you would probably look at her and think she looks about 6 or 7 years old. I don't know. I'm absolutely rubbish at guessing people's ages, no matter what age you are. If you're a child, I'm terrible at guessing your age. If you're an adult, I can never guess anyone's age. But she definitely looks like, you would look at her and go, yeah, she looks about maybe somewhere between 6 and 8 years old. So her records from the Ukraine, they say that she was born in 2003. And this means that when Michael and Christine meet her, she has just turned 8 years old. Here is alarm bell number 2. When they go to meet her, when they go to find this agency who called them out of the blue from Florida, the office is in a shopping centre, or I kept coming across this term, a strip mall. Now, in the UK, we wouldn't really call it a strip mall, we'd call it more like a plaza or a shopping centre. But anyway, this is where this adoption meeting is happening. What a weird place. I mean, that's bizarro, isn't it? That is weird. Yeah, just the whole shopping centre vibe is very strange. Like, so you're going to meet the girl that you're going to adopt into your family. You're going to do this life-changing thing, and you're doing it in a shopping centre. Yeah, I think it's weird. I think it's very, very weird. But I will say this, Michael and Christine, they also think it's weird. Like, they're not just going along with it, they're going, this is fucking weird. What is happening? So, you can imagine, right, for them, they're in a bit of a spin. This has been one crazy 24-hour period because they're literally going, well, hang on, yesterday we were just sitting being the family that we are, and then we got a phone call and we got a deadline we had to meet, and now we're sitting in this office in a weird place. And, you know, it's a lot for them. So they meet the man who says, oh, I'm the one who made the phone call. They say fine, they settle down in the office, and the man says, I'll just go and I'll just get Natalia. And so, in comes 8-year-old Natalia, and she immediately runs to Michael. She puts her arms around his neck and she starts calling him Daddy. She jumps from Michael, she goes over to hug Christine, and she's calling her Mummy over and over. She's saying, "Thank you, Mummy, thank you, Daddy, for coming and saving me." What that does is it throws the Barnetts a little bit off balance. Because what they're doing straight away is they're going, that is very, very, very familiar. And it's just, frankly, a little bit odd. Why is she so familiar so quickly? Like, they've barely said hello to her, and she's running into the room and she's calling them Mummy and Daddy. Anyway, what they do is they put that down to her excitement at being adopted. Okay. So, with the paperwork done, off they go home with the newest member of their family. So now, of course, there's going to be an adjustment period here. There's things that have to settle. She's new in the house. They've only ever raised boys, so they now suddenly have a daughter. So there's lots of things to deal with. But where we are is Natalia is at home with her new family. So on the first evening that Natalia is at home with the Barnetts, Christine gives her a bath. Michael is downstairs with the boys. Christine is upstairs in the bathroom with Natalia. And when Christine comes downstairs, she looks really shaken. She looks visibly shocked. And when Michael asks what's wrong, she explains that when she was bathing Natalia, she was really shocked to see that Natalia had adult body hair. Not the body hair you would expect an 8-year-old to have, but that you would expect an adult to have. And Christine is really shaken. I mean, you would be. You would be like, I'm sorry, what the actual bejesus is going on here? So straight away, this gives Michael and Christine a lot of concerns, but it's not just the body hair thing that's throwing them. It's when they look closer at Natalia, what they realise is she actually has adult teeth. Weird. She's 8. She's 8 years old. She has what they will call a very sophisticated vocabulary for an 8-year-old. They watch Natalia interact with other children, the 3 new brothers that she has, and they say she just isn't childlike. She just doesn't seem like a child. In one photograph that you look at, she could look like she was 8 years old. In the next photograph, taken, I don't know, on the same day, she might look like she's 19 years old. It's very, very confusing. It's very, very confusing. And you'll see as we go on why that's so confusing. So, the first thing they start to think is, right, there has been a huge error made here. There's been a mistake. Natalia is clearly older, but because of her condition, because of the dwarfism, she's been given the wrong age by the agency. So they call the agency to report this, to question it, and they're told, no, she's 8 years old. And they say, well, no, she isn't. Like, she really isn't 8 years old. She's definitely older. And they're told, no, you're wrong. We have a piece of paper signed by a doctor which says that she was born in 2003. This makes her 8 years old. They say the doctor's wrong. When the Barnetts ask can they see a birth certificate, they are told a birth certificate for Natalia Grace doesn't exist. That is major alarm bells number 3. Right, so the Barnetts think, okay, well, fine. If the agency won't help us and people won't listen to us, what we can do is we can get tests done ourselves. And this I found to be so fascinating. Did you know this? You probably do if you listen to true crime podcasts and whatever. But did you know that actually the closest and most accurate way that you can tell someone's age is through their bones? It's through bone density. I never knew this before. I thought it was teeth. I thought teeth was how you told what someone's age was. Anyway, it turns out not to be. So you can do a test on someone's bones, and by their bone density you can work out almost exactly what age that person is. Isn't science and medicine just bloody wonderful? It really is. However, here's the issue. Because of Natalia's condition, her bones never really developed properly, so no test could ever be that accurate. And that's the issue that the Barnetts face, is that they could do all the tests in the world, but because of her condition, they're never going to be able to pin down her age. So frustrated as you would be, realising that these tests are not going to prove anything, they call back the agency and they say, look, can someone please come and investigate this with us, because something is not right. When someone from the agency comes to see Michael and Christine, they learn a piece of information that is just so shocking. They learn that in the 8 years that Natalia has been with this adoption agency, she has lived with 31 different families. 31 families. Now, this speaks a lot about the fact that kids who come into the adoption process, kids who come into the fostering process, can be pushed about, can be put into one family for a week, moved back out of it. But 31 families is a hell of a lot of families for one child to go through. So Michael and Christine, they start to wonder why. Why that number? So at this moment in time, Michael and Christine, they really have to think about the situation that they've got on their hands, and they're at a loss as to what to do. What they will do is pretty sensational, and it's why this case made the headlines. But before I get to why they take really drastic action, let me tell you some of the reasons why they will eventually do something major. Was Natalia settling in to the Barnett family? No. The truth is, she wasn't. Michael and Christine, they will say she was moody. She was sullen. She was difficult. And then they use this word, which is the most damaging of all. They say she's psychotic. Now, why call Natalia psychotic? Well, it was all of the bizarre things that she was doing in the house. So it starts with very small things. She takes small thumbtacks, you know, those very, very tiny little pins that are clear on the bottom so that you can't see them, and she starts to place them around the house, on the stairs, hoping that people will stand on them. Okay, that's quite small. I mean, it's not it's not normal to do it, but okay. Is that a reason to call someone psychotic? Probably not. Knives begin to go missing from the kitchen. And when Michael and Christine notice that knives have gone missing, they check under Natalia's bed to find that she has taken these kitchen knives and has them. And when they ask her, Natalia, why do you have them? She says, because I'm deciding which one of you to kill. There's a day in the kitchen where Christine is making a cup of coffee. She turns her back to do something in the laundry room before finishing making the coffee. But when she comes back, Natalia is pouring bleach into the cup. And when Christine realises that bleach is going in a coffee cup, she says to Natalia, what the hell are you doing? Natalia replies, I'm trying to kill you. Natalia takes the favourite possessions of the 3 sons in the family. One is a teddy bear, one is a computer game, and one is a basketball. She takes all 3 of these items, and when they're out, the Barnett family having a family day out, Natalia waits until they are at the side of a really busy road with heavy traffic, and she throws all 3 of the boys' favourite possessions into the traffic. And when Michael and Christine say to her, why the hell did you do that? She says, because I hoped the boys would run into the traffic and be killed. So the Barnett family, they now want Natalia out of their house. They want her gone. For their own safety, for the safety of their other children, they're like, we just need to get her gone. So, it's what happens next that hits the news. This is why this story hits the headlines. The Barnetts are telling anyone who will listen, she is not 8 years old. She is not the age that she says. Now, no one will listen to them except there is a judge in Indiana who says, I will listen. I'll listen to this story. So, they go to court. They go to court and they tell the judge the whole entire story. The judge, she listens. She tries to determine Natalia's age. She actually orders a doctor to come and do some tests. Nothing very conclusive comes back from the tests. And the judge ends up in a position where she's really unsure how to proceed. But the Barnetts are saying, look, you have to listen to us. You have to believe us. She's not 8 years old. And we can prove it with this one thing, which is not very nice to talk about, but it is the truth. She has a monthly period. She has a menstrual cycle. Now, no 8-year-old has a menstrual cycle. Explain that. Explain what this is. As they're going through this process in court, some of those families, the 31 different families that she lived with, they start to come forward and they will say, yeah, we had Natalia for a short burst of time. So we had her for a week and she was awful. She would attack us. She was violent. She is a dangerous, dangerous young woman. And these families all went through the same thing. So they're standing in front of this judge and they're saying, we went through what the Barnetts went through, in that we were told by the adoption agency we were getting a 4-year-old. And when we met her, she looked like she was 4. But then we realised when we got her home, she was way older. And that's where the problem started. So the judge weighs all of this up and decides to change Natalia's age legally to 22 years old. I mean, it's good for the Barnetts that this has happened, because Natalia is clearly not 8. But it's pretty fucking bizarre. If you think you've adopted an 8-year-old and the judge rules she's 22, like, what the fuck? What the hell's going on here? Now, this next bit is very important. Very, very important. The Barnetts can now do what they have wanted to do for so long with Natalia, and that is they can have her committed. They have her committed to a psychiatric ward, which can only happen when she's legally an adult. It can't happen to a child, it can only happen to an adult. So now this is where the story changes. This is where the story shifts, and it starts getting talked about differently, because people go, well, the Barnetts are obviously evil. Obviously what they did was they went to court. They got her age changed from child to adult simply to get her committed to a psychiatric ward. But did they? No, I don't think that they did. The Barnetts will say, we adopted a child and she isn't who she says she is. This is bizarro Bizarresville starring Mick Bizarreface. The story is just it's insane. In the institution that Natalia is in, she gets to know one of the therapists really, really well. She gets to become really close to one of the therapists. And he asks her, Natalia, what age are you? And she replies, I'm whatever age the agency say that I am. So, I'm 10 years old. 10 years makes sense because it's 2 years on from the Barnetts adopting her. It's what Michael and Christine do next that makes their story end up on TV. After a year of Natalia being in the institution, they remove her. And what they do is they put her up in a house in Indiana. So they rent this house, nice house. They make sure it's fully furnished. She can access everything in the house. They pay the entire year's rent for her to live there. They make sure that she gets every single disability allowance going. She gets food stamps, and she has carers who visit twice a day. So they've absolutely set her up in a house where they're like, she will be safe, she can eat, she can do everything that a human being needs to do to survive. Then what they do is they move to Canada. So they leave her behind in Indiana, in this house, and they move to Canada. Now, they don't just randomly move to Canada for the sake of like being like, oh, I'd quite like to go to Canada. This is a whole other separate story. I'll not bother going into it, but basically one of their sons who has autism is exceptionally good at physics, and is so good at physics he's given TED Talks on it. But he's only like 14, but he gets accepted to a Canadian university because his physics skills are just so incredible that he gets an early place. So they use this as the chance to go to Canada and leave Natalia behind. So they're quite happy in Canada. They're being there, and then there is a knock on the door. Police have come to arrest Michael and Christine for the willful neglect of a child. They say she's not a child. She's in her 20s. A judge has ruled that she is in her 20s. We haven't left a child behind. We've left an adult behind. And we've set her up correctly. And this is where the story at this point, it actually would start to do your head in, because it just becomes fucking even weirder. Police say no, actually, no. The judge is wrong in saying that she's 22, she's actually 10. And they say, well, how do you know that? Well, her mother from the Ukraine has come forward and said, yes, Natalia was born in 2003. She is my daughter. And I gave her up for adoption. Right, so where's this mother been the whole entire time? So now, out of nowhere, out of bloody nowhere, this Ukrainian mother appears and says, no, I can absolutely tell you she is a child. She isn't an adult. Right, okay, so tell me this. Will the Ukrainian mother have the one thing that might put all of this to bed, that might help us rest this entire thing? Does she have a birth certificate? No. She doesn't know where it is. Ugh. Can the people in this story start to just get a grip on themselves, please? Because I'm getting really annoyed with everyone's general rubbishness at this moment in time. So it's just beyond fucking stupidly confusing at this point. So Michael and Christine, they're arrested and they are put in prison to await trial. After a period of time, they are released on bail. Almost as soon as they are released on bail, they begin divorce proceedings. Which, I think it's a really sad bit of the story that I didn't see coming. They were such a strong unit as a family. They really were like a man and wife who loved each other. They really, really did. But, just this has ripped them apart, because it's just been such a terrible time for them to go through. So, where we're at with Natalia is that she is still living in this house in Indiana. She's being looked after by various healthcare professionals. And as if this couldn't get any more complicated, a brand new family emerge saying, we want to adopt Natalia. Now this is a family who have seen this story on the news. The Manns family. The mother of the family, Cynthia, she just comes out of nowhere, basically, just comes out of absolutely bloody nowhere and says, I want to adopt this poor girl who's been abandoned by these parents. Now this is an absolute fucking mess. I mean, it's an absolute dog's dinner of a story. But, yeah. Enter the one man who can get to the truth. The one man who can solve this. My hero, love of my life, Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, here he comes. So, I think I'm going to get a face tattoo in 2020 that says, like, I love Dr. Phil. He gets Natalia onto his show. He gets the new adoptive mother on his show. And they discuss the story. And he gets to the real question. And basically, he looks at Natalia and he says, tell us the truth. Look, what age are you? Right? This is ridiculous because we don't believe you're the age that you say you are. You're saying you're 10 years old at this point. What age are you? And she says, I'm actually 16. And Dr. Phil's like, I still don't believe you're only 16. He says the problem is you could actually be in your early 30s. And what Natalia does is she laughs. She laughs and she looks at her new adopted mum and she says, I can assure you that I'm not. One thing that's absolutely certain in this story is that when Michael and Christine thought they were getting an 8-year-old girl from the Ukraine, she was in no way an 8-year-old. They were given an adult who had dwarfism, and they were one of 30 odd families who had been through the same process. But you know where I will slightly stick up for them a little bit more is that I know they moved to Canada and they left her in Indiana. And I get that bit of the story. I get why people will have a lot of issue with that. Those 30 other families, they just essentially sent her back. Like she was that fucking hat I was talking about from Amazon Prime. As if they just didn't like it. They stuck with her, at least in a way. They knew there was some kind of thing happening here that wasn't right, but at least they put their own money, they put their own time and effort into making sure that she was set up okay, but they also removed their family from the situation who were in danger. If you've got, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what age she is, if you've got a child who's having knives under her bed, you've got to be worried and panicked about the 3 kids you've already got. So I'm not saying that the Barnetts acted perfectly, but I am saying I do think that they did potentially slightly more than the other families who had Natalia for a week and then just sent her back. Anyway, Natalia still claims that she isn't an adult. And there remains just confusion over what age Natalia really is. So she now lives with her new adopted family and they believe her to be 16 years old. In January 2020, only a week from now, Michael and Christine Barnett will stand trial for the willful neglect of a child. And so ends the story. Yeah, weird. We heard. And more to come on this story. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to want to, and I couldn't urge you anymore if I tried. Go and look up a picture of Natalia Grace and you will see exactly where all of these problems come from. Because in one photograph, yeah, you're like, she looks 8. In the next photograph, you're like, what? That's clearly a 16-year-old. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, other things. As usual, you can get me on the social medias. Please do. If you could leave me a review on iTunes, that would be, or Apple Podcasts, whichever you listen to or whatever that is, that would be amazing, and it might help me combat this douchebag of a dickhead who left me a 3-star review saying that apparently I take forever to tell the story. I digress. I leave out the facts, or I gloss over them. But it's okay, because this person loves my accent, so well, yeah, go fuck off. Actually ends this review by saying, if you're serious about your crime stories, sit this one out. Do you know what you can do, douchebag? You can just get to fuck. And you know what? I know who you are, so I'm coming for you. I'm just going to finish by saying this. This is going to be the last episode, I think, of 2019. And we're going to enter the new decade. And I was kind of just sitting thinking, what does the decade mean to me? What's changed? What's happened? Doing a bit of reflection. And I put it out on social media and I asked for advice. I asked for reflections, things that you think about, things that you've learned. What have you learned? So I'm just going to leave you with some of my thoughts, some of the listener thoughts, and some things to think about going into 2020 with. Alright, so you're going to hear the Baz 2020 message. Choose life, choose living, choose being you. Fuck anyone who tells you differently. Be strong, be yourself. See, the next time you're sitting at the dinner table and you feel silenced, speak up. Be the guy, be the girl who points out the obvious. Ask the daft questions. Take a deep breath and don't let anybody get in your way. If someone is a dick to you, take a deep breath and walk away, because you are stronger than that. Be bold, be brave, make big choices, dye your hair bright pink if that's what you want to do. Hold on when it feels like it's the roughest, and you'll laugh about it later. Look outside of yourself. Give to food banks. Speak to someone if you need to. Don't hide away. Be a boy. Be a girl. Be transgender. Just be who the fuck you want to be. Be in the world. Stay in the world and don't give up. Remember that you once had a sense of humour. Find it again. Be kind to other people, but also celebrate yourself. Celebrate everything you've achieved in your life. Celebrate everything you've achieved today. Life isn't a race. Take your time. Try not to judge other people too harshly. Shift judgment to curiosity. Don't believe every thought that you have just because you think something doesn't make it true. Love people, not things. Travel. Go overseas. Visit new places and new cultures. Never make an idle threat. Comparison is the thief of joy. So set your own goals. Focus on your own ambitions and don't worry about what anybody else is doing. You cannot be everything to everyone, so don't try. Remember that you can tell everything about someone's character by the way they treat animals. We all end up dead, so live life for yourself and have a good ride. always trust your instinct. Love how you want to be loved. The best thing to put in a whiskey is more whiskey. Treat people the way you expect to be treated. If someone has a problem with you, it's their problem. It's not yours. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love someone else? Worry about the things you can control. Don't worry about the things that you can't. Read more books. Watch a TV programme you never thought you would be interested in. Turn the radio to a station that you never imagined yourself listening to. If someone looks like they have something to say, a story to tell, walk up to them and ask what it is. Get it out of them. Get that story, because you know it's going to be good. Remember that other people's opinion is none of your fucking business. When you are in doubt, freak people out. A baby won't fix a broken relationship. Bend with the wind, because if you fight it, you'll break. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Be kind to your future self. Done is better than perfect. When you don't know what to do, choose the kindest thing that you can do. Trust your inner voice. Remember that you can't change people's actions, only your reactions. Don't sweat all the small stuff. There's a way bigger picture. Overpay a good babysitter. Remember that we all have a baggage. It just depends how you're carrying it. Never trust a man who doesn't like kids and dogs. You can't save everyone. It's okay to say no. Don't let your mouth ask what your ears don't want to hear. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Take time for self-care. Look after yourself. Listen to your soul. Shut your mind off and listen to what your soul is telling you. Focus on the things that you can control. If you're going to dream, dream big. Stop giving so many fucks about everything and sprinkling them around like confetti. Save your fucks for the important stuff. Learn to pick your battles. Go with your natural instinct. You are important to somebody, and people, they do care about you. And it will get better. This will pass. Forgive. Smile at a stranger. It may be the only one they get that day. Start a pension at 21. Communication is key. Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Eat the cookie if you want it. Don't fuck on a first date. Don't stress yourself out about things that have not happened yet. It might never happen. Remember the power of now. Be present. Put your phone down. Put your phone down and be in the moment. Stay in the moment with someone, even if it's the most boring moment of your life. Be in it. No feeling is final. Don't put your fingers anywhere you wouldn't put your cock. Every day is a new day. Jealousy and grudges are just holding you hostage. Take a deep breath, count to 10 and then decide. You never know who lost a fight with a toddler today. Give them enough rope to hang themselves and pull them up before they do. Ask yourself, is this the hill that you want to die on? The best way to win a fight is not to be in it in the first place. Never stop learning. Keep searching for knowledge. Be your own best friend. Keep dreaming. Everything will pass. Eat the fucking ice cream if you want it. Don't eat yellow snow. It doesn't matter how many times you fall, as long as every time you keep getting back up. The direct route and the scenic route will both get you there. Life is not a race to death. Never waste a sunrise. There are two sides to every story. The truth is always in the middle.
It didn't affect me really one way or the other. I would imagine from the look on his face, let's get it on, let's do it, let's get it over. Let's get it on, let's do it, let's get it over.